because my friends couldn't do it. People, why? Because your definition of friend is horrible. You don't have a standard or a criteria for friend, which is where is reciprocity taking place. My balancement. I'm only dealing with people I can benefit from. I don't deal with nobody under no other circumstances. You brothers.
HipHopIsReal.com in association with Key Life Production. Yo, we out here, man, with the Nasuit. Yo, thank you for inviting us to the crib, man.
Yes, sir.
This is dope. You're polite, man. The first time I got a chance to actually see you teach was a few years ago when I went to go see a lecture on telekinesis. And when you had the pendulum and all of that and everything like that. Yeah, and you had us hype. I'm like, yo, who is this dude right here, man?
Brooklyn right there.
And just growing and watching everything you've been doing over the years, man, it's very, empowering, and it helps to push a lot of the people I'm around, you know what I'm saying? And when I seen you last, I wanted to ask you, man, we all trying to get paid, man, you know what I'm saying? I see you get a lot of flack for, wearing the nice clothes, having all that stuff, and being at the Laker games, all that good shit, but it's like, a lot of people front, but they want to be in a better position in life.
Facts.
What do you have to say to the people who want to do better? Like, you know what I'm saying? Dudes that's probably not in the best situation. Like, what are some of the advice you got to get in a better situation?
The first thing that I would suggest is to separate yourself from non-progressive people. Starting with people that are blood related to you. This is an absolute fact. It just clouds your judgment. It impedes on your ability to make rational decisions. And in order for me to come up, I had to separate myself from blood relatives, and I also had to separate myself from real good friends, people I really enjoy their company. However, we have to understand that there's a dichotomy to the words that we use affectionately to identify with our peers and our loved ones. So, for instance, the word friend, we now have to take on a more legal definition, which is anyone that you're willing to invest in that's also willing to invest in you. So someone that you're willing to invest in that's also willing to invest in you, where there's reciprocity or the relationship is mutually beneficial. That's a friend. If we were to apply that definition to our life and make it applicable, and as far as demonstrating that technique or actualizing it, we will have to cut off a lot of people, because we'll find out that we are amongst people that only want to benefit from us but do not want reciprocity to take place or that which is mutually beneficial for both parties. The word consideration. Consideration is when a contract is being generated on account to the fact that both parties feel like working with each other will be mutually beneficial and a profit can be made or an asset is involved. That's called consideration in economics. All right, so you have appreciation. If both parties agree to commit to each other contract-wise, all right, which this would be an instrument, and they decide, hey, we're gonna write a contract because we feel that this is an asset and we both can mutually benefit from what we will do with this asset, which is called consideration. Then in turn, what we can do is make a profit off it. Once these parties make a profit off of what they invest in, that's called appreciation. So you have friends, consideration, and appreciation. Of course, they will have to retitle the property into the company that they choose to create with each other. That becomes the trust, where property is held on behalf of another for the purpose of, or for the benefit of another, okay, or the beneficiary. So now you have properties being held on behalf of another for the purposes of profit and respect to a beneficiary. So now you have a trust. So you're setting up a trust account or business, and of course this trust has its inception in two parties feeling like they can mutually benefit from an asset which inspired the contract, which is called consideration. And of course appreciation takes place every time you make profit from that asset in particular that you built the trust for. So now we have trust, we have consideration, and we have appreciation, right? And we also have friend, one who's willing to invest in you and one you're willing to invest in.
Okay.
So you have friends, appreciation, consideration, and you have trust. You also have a security. A security is a paper certificate that attests to ownership and equity, as in the case of a stock, or ownership of a bond, as in the case of a debt obligation which has tradable derivatives. A corresponding clause would be a CUSIP, which is a Committee on Uniform Securities Identification Procedure, which is what you find on certificates. Certificates actualize the equity, or demonstrate the equity, or demonstrate the worth or the value of that which has been invested in, but you don't carry it along with you everywhere you go. Let's say the two parties agree to do business in terms of real estate, and they are indulging in the acquisition of a property. The property is the asset. The property will not be carried around in people's pockets to represent the fact that they own it. So what they will have is a security, or a paper certificate that attests to the value and the ownership thereof of that particular property. So that represents a security. Okay, so when you see something with a CUSIP, it's confirming that something that you can't really carry around, or when it makes sense carrying around, is actually owned, and that is qualified by the CUSIP that's on it. Okay, this barcode, is set series of numbers, or the alphanumerics that's on the certificate, which is a Committee on Uniform Securities Identification Procedure. So again, a security would be what? The security is none other than showing on paper that something that you probably don't carry around in your pocket belongs to you. Okay. Like gold, for instance. In Article 1, Section 8, clauses 4, 5, 6, 7, you'll see in there a standard measures, a system of weights and standard measures in terms of money. Money's supposed to be backed by something. It all goes into currency when you go into those sections, right? You used to be able to turn in your monies as silver certificates or gold certificates. You used to be able to turn it in to the bank and exchange, get gold or silver from it. Gold certificates, silver certificates, right? You turn the dollar in, and it is a certificate that represents the gold and the silver that you don't want to carry in your pocket, because if a loaf of bread costs $1.45, you wouldn't be able to cut that in gold. So what you're doing is saying, well, this is equal to percentages in value in precious metals, or this is a certificate attesting to ownership in equity. This is a paper that announces a percentage of the value of that which I don't carry around here, but can be exchanged on the market or amongst society and stands as value. So the two parties get together and they indulge in the acquisition of some form of real estate, and guess what happens? They now have a paper that qualifies the fact that they own it, or attest to the value of the property, and that is called a security, or sometimes a mortgage note. Thanks a lot, fam. Called a mortgage note. So now you have what? Let's start it all over. You have a friend, one who's willing to invest in you, one you're willing to invest in. These friends get together and they say, man, I think this asset, this property would be worth both of us buying, and we can make a profit off of it. So they say, okay, let's draw a contract since we feel we both can benefit from this asset. That concept is called consideration. This is what you want in every relationship. So you got friendship, one who's willing to invest in you, one you're willing to invest in, and then you got consideration, when both parties indulge in something that they feel is mutually beneficial and feel that they can gain from each other, so that way they decide to make a contract. It warrants a contract. Appreciation, they start making money off of the property. Every time money is made off of that which they invested in, that's called appreciation in economics. So you got appreciation, you got consideration, you got friendship. In order for them to demonstrate that they actually own this property legally without them carrying the property everywhere they go, that's called a security. And again, a security is a paper certificate that attests to ownership and equity, as in case of a stock, or ownership of a bond, as in the case of debt obligation which has tradable derivatives. Corresponding to that clause is CUSIP, which is Committee on Uniform Securities Identification Procedure. So we know that this paper certificate confirms, or the mortgage note confirms, who actually owns the property, who is the seller, and everything. Now what we're going to do is retitle the property so it's fair that both parties have a relationship with this property, an unconditional interest in the property. Okay, you want to perfect the claim on the property. So you perfect the claim on the property by putting a first in time lien on it before anyone else can put a lien on the property. So the two parties would do that in what's called a financing statement, or a UCC-1 financing statement, where it demonstrates the relationship between the person who's in debt and the person who's the creditor. That's a little bit more advanced or accelerated information. Right now we want to deal with the words that have a dichotomy in it. So you have a friend One is willing to invest in you, one you're willing to invest in. So these two parties say, I'm willing to invest in you and you're willing to invest in me. Let's get together. Oh, here goes an asset. We could definitely make some money off this asset. Let's go into contract. That's called consideration at that point. Okay, we're making some money off of this property. That's called appreciation at that point. We need to qualify the fact that we own this property. That's called a security. A security attests to the fact that the property is worth X amount of dollars and it belongs to the parties that say it belongs to or invested in it. And then this agreement, business-wise, the manner in which that we're going to conduct transactions and receive revenue streams from it. We're going to set up a trust checkings account, and the trust is when property is held on behalf of another for the purpose of beneficiaries. So now you have trust, consideration, appreciation, friendship, and security. You feel me? These are all words that we want in relationships. These are all terms that we understand outside the convention of law. If we were, you said, what's the first thing a person should do? We should make vocabulary concessions to the way in which we live. Change the dynamics of how we want our relationships to function. Meaning, I want friendship, but I only want it under the terms that I'm going to be able to benefit, and the person I'm dealing with is going to also be able to benefit too. This is called consideration. Okay, at that point where I'm ready to go into contract. So the friend is one who's willing to benefit, one who's willing to invest in you, one you're willing to invest in. So I don't want no other type of friend at this point. So you said, how do we start our financing situation? Only deal with people that you can benefit from, that you can also, in a fair exchange, give them something back in return, and make sure both parties are aware of this exchange. In doing so, you shed the skin of a lot of dead weight. Get into contract with them once you start saying we really can get busy. That's called consideration. Make your first investment with them, okay? And when you make your first investment with them and start making profit from it, that's called appreciation. So you're gonna have a certain appreciation for them, but not the regular appreciation, like, you know, tell me nice things that make me feel good about myself. No, we're making money with each other, and that's creating appreciation. Now you want to get into what? Spirituality. What is spirituality? Well, in law, or ecclesiastical law, spiritualities is revenue generated or property acquired, mostly in particular cases of the church. So this has to become your spirituality. I'm not making up these words. You look up the word spiritualities and you're going to see property acquired or revenue generated by a group of people, in most cases a church. So we learn the poverty teachings, right? And the poor shall inherit the world. But when we look up the word spiritualities, you come to terms with the fact that spirituality means to acquire property or to generate revenue. Some very interesting stuff. I'm not making these words up. Look up the word spiritualities, and you see spiritualities has everything to do with physical things, physical acquisition of material things, right? Particularly real estate or just making money in general. So the more money you're making, the more spiritual you are. Facts. I didn't create these words. I don't create these definitions. What I'm saying is the way you use words and your understanding of it precipitates your reality. You feel me? So our people say they're highly spiritual. But if spirituality doesn't take on a context of abundance, especially as it relates in the material realm, then the reality that they thrive in is going to be very different from the reality I thrive in. See, people be telling me, you too much into the material realm. Why don't you get into the spirituality stuff? And I'm like, bro, I'm more spiritual than you, fam. I got way more properties than you. And I got way more money than you. So I'm more spiritual than you. They think I'm bullshit when I say this. We just speak in two different languages. Same words though. Dichotomy.
You think sometimes people get like kind of misconstrued when you're saying that, as opposed, because you know there'll be a lot of people who's into conscious or whatever, and they'll be like, yeah, you know, he's just talking about money or getting money, and how's that just spiritual? Like they'll look at it like, you know, from their personal. And
there goes the disconnect. Because if I pull up the word right now, spirituality is on my phone, right? In fact, I'm gonna do it. If I pull up the word spirituality is on my phone, and it says what I've been telling you it says, then how can a conscious person tell me I'm talking about too much material things, I need to get into spirituality? You see, if I'm not using the word wrong. Now it's not semantics, it's actually what the word means. You feel me? So that puts us in a very precarious situation. Okay, often spirituality, something such as property or revenue that belongs to the church or to a cleric. Let's see if we can. let's see if we could, I just typed in spiritualities on Google. It took me to the freedictionary.com. I just typed in the word spiritualities because I know once I type it in, that's the meaning, right? I didn't go to nothing specifically, but it tells me right here. I don't know if you could be able to see it, but it's that first line. Come closer. Let me know if you see that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you see the meaning of the word spiritualities, right? And it's not just this dictionary. You can look it up anywhere. So long as you write spiritualities, often spiritualities is something such as property or revenue. Then it goes on to say that belongs to the church or to a cleric. Okay, so oftentimes it has to deal with the church or the cleric. But at the end of the day, the conscious person say, you know, I thought we was all in this for spirituality. You feel me? They practice in one form, I practice in another. The thing is, I ain't make my shit up. This has already been told. That one group of people have been saying this is spirituality, and I believe the conspiracy is once they established what spirituality was, let's sell these motherfuckers on some other shit. You feel me? Now they chastising me, but I'm with the original definition. Like, we gotta have abundance, and you know what? It does make you more spiritual to have, because there's no better feeling than when my daughter says I want to go to Disneyland for the 3rd time in a month. Go ahead, baby. The feeling you get, that's not me doing the wrong thing. The feeling I get from making my daughter happy empowers me. You feel me? Inky lost his property, water damage, whatever. Have twins. We used to have some kind of beef or drama. But when he called me and said he needed a place, I felt so empowered because I have several properties that I rent out. I just gave him one of the cribs. Like, don't worry about it. Yo, how can I? Come on, dog. I already know what it is. You gotta get up. Don't worry about it. You gotta travel. You gotta pay for U-Haul. You got one set of twins and a set of newborn twins, and then you have children before and after, during, in between. You got like 10 children. You feel me?
Yeah.
So, you know, I can't take nothing from you, bro. You good. Just come out here, get your family moved in, so wifey don't get on your case. She continue breastfeeding, and you can figure your shit out. See, now he doing his thing again. He got his workout sessions going on. He got his gym popping. You know, but he needed a little spirituality. You know what I'm saying? He needed a little property and a little bread. So once he got the revenue right and some property, it empowered him. He was able to catalyze that experience, and in which case he was able to move on and do bigger and greater things. But he needed somebody to give him a hand. And nobody who's dealing with the metaphysical spiritual shit was able to do that for him. He tried. It came around my sight for a dude that he semi still had beef with. I'm like, come on, man, my children are your children. Don't even feel no way. You good. Yo, bro, I just want to say sorry for... Say less. Come on, if we ain't really brothers, and you know, I don't feel no fucking way. Yeah, I see the videos, New Covenant, you scamming Polight, but yo, blood thicker than that, King. You got twins, dog. I don't give a fuck about them videos, King. Let's do it. And that shit opened his eyes somewhere. Like, yo, I can't never fuck with this nigga, because my friends couldn't do it. People, why? Because your definition of friend is horrible. You don't have a standard or a criteria for friend. Which is where is reciprocity taking place? My balancement. I'm only dealing with people I can benefit from. I don't deal with nobody under no other circumstances. You brothers here, because this is mutually beneficial. You got media, it's going to empower me. I appreciate the opportunity. You have your media, it's going to help you spread your brand.
That's right.
So you know what? We deserve each other. It makes perfect sense. You know what I'm saying? Maybe in other capacities, we shouldn't deal with each other. In this capacity, we should always deal with each other. So we keep it like that. Maybe we find out something else we can do. Maybe we find something else we can do. But we got to always make sure we both feel comfortable with the balance of the scale. You feel me? My brother here is mutually beneficial. People feel uncomfortable. I be telling people, I only want to deal with you because I want to use you for something. I be so direct that people be uncomfortable. Like, yo, what kind of shit is that? Use me. Like, I'm coming into this, I don't expect nothing of you. I'm like, whoa, I don't want to fuck with you then. You know what I'm saying? That's weird. Like, why you don't want to use me? Use me. You know, people secretly want to use people, they just don't put it on Front Street. You know, I just say, yo, I have every intention to utilize you for every resource that you got. Word, I'm gonna utilize you for every resource
that makes sense.
that you got, that we can balance out in a fair equation. So if I can get 10 things from you, I gotta give you 10 things back. And it don't gotta be equal in a monetary fashion. It just gotta be befitting to the cause. You feel me? So you may not be able to serve a certain goal monetarily in the same capacity that I could serve you. So I may be investing in you, but you know what? You may have knowledge and a platform that I can leverage out and say, to me, this balances out perfectly. There's an exchange taking place. It doesn't always have to be monetarily equal, but the experience has to be fair. You feel me? So that's how we do that. This is African culture, though. You know what I'm saying? This ain't no new shit. That's barter and exchanging, bro. You know what I'm saying? You got 3 cows, I got 2 goats. The shit making sense. Fuck it. You know, I happen to need 3 cows. I only need 2 goats, but it's serious. Nobody can say 3 goats with 3 cows. That's not equal. They 2 different animals. But if it makes sense and both parties feel good about it, switch. Fuck the money. Fuck the change. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of times, you know, just me when I used to go back and forth with certain people, like just about like, yo, Polight, I feel like, yo, nah, for me it's inspirational because me starting my own business and doing certain things, I could kind of see where he's coming from. Like before, I might have not seen everything he's coming from.
That's what happens too.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, but then when I start doing shit, it's like, yo, nah, homie, I can't do this. Like,
now you understand.
What am I getting out of this shit? Because if I come drive to you, waste my gas, waste my money to interview you, and you, nigga, give me $50 at least.
Something.
You know what I'm saying? And it's not like me being like messed up. Like, nah, this is.
And people treat you like you horrible. Like, yo, fam, like,
yeah, so
like this is a situation. You know
I find myself a lot of times like just defending the mindset of what you're talking about, because to me, I'm like, nah. Like, am I a sellout if I make millions of dollars? Am I now in the Illuminati, or I'm getting raped, or I'm doing certain things if I'm getting certain money?
That's right.
Because you know me.
In order to take this to the next level, you're gonna need funding eventually. You know what I'm saying? You have humble beginnings, not to be humble the rest of your life. You feel me? So people that you see arrogant or come off very arrogant is only because they had humble beginnings. It's balance. It's ma'at. It's law. It's order. It's reciprocity. It's mutually beneficial. It's polarizing an experience. You know, being polarized by the experience. It's saying simply, I have humble beginnings, not to be humble the rest of my life. You know.